come after me. Oh my God, you just told me they might come after me. I'm quitting. I'm giving up. You mean, oh my gosh, I never thought in 21 years on air that there might be repercussions if we don't stop this. I'm giving up. That caller just scared me. I never thought of that. Oh my gosh. I always love, I'm not saying he was doing that, but I've gotten that before. Like, you know they're going to come after you, or you know they kill people. Really? But see, that's from the mindset of folks that think like that, well, you know the civilization is going to totally collapse if we don't stand against this. You know they're selling babies' parts everywhere. You know they're dehumanizing us. You know they're cross-species. You know the planet's dying, right? Because the globalists. Not their fake environmental stuff, but real reasons. You know we don't have any future if we don't stand up. But see, you don't have any sense of that. It's all about you. I'm an individual, such an individual. I'm a collectivist. I believe in individualism, but I'm collectively want to die in the service of humanity.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and we're going to take a look at Hillary Clinton's email scandals, which we've been looking at for the last several days. We're going to talk to some of our callers as well. And I want to catch up on what's going on politically with the Veep stakes. Of course, we've had Newt Gingrich speaking with Donald Trump today. We had Joni Ernst and Governor Pence meet with him over the weekend. And today we had Joni Ernst say that she has a lot more to do in the Senate. And quite frankly, I think that's good news, as long as she can't do what she wants to do. Because as I tweeted out over the weekend, as Donald Trump was talking about meeting with her, I tweeted out something she put out a year ago. Senator Joni Ernst, who was a brand new senator at the time, said, "I am pleased that TPA is one step closer to implementation." TPA, of course, is the Trade Promotion Authority. And understand, it's not simply about the TPP or the TTIP, the transatlantic, the trans-Pacific, quote-unquote, partnerships. They're really treaties, folks. And I cannot believe that a senator doesn't know that these are treaties, doesn't know and doesn't care that there is a process for ratifying treaties in the Constitution. But of course, the majority of senators, virtually all of them, and the vast majority of the House, the majority of Republicans in both houses, voted to ignore the constitutional process that they are bound to follow and said, we're not going to follow that. We're not going to have 2/3 of the senators vote on these trade treaties. Instead, what we're going to do is negotiate them in secret with corporate lawyers, and then we're going to put it up to a majority vote in both houses. We're not going to allow any amendments. We're not going to allow any debates. We are not going to allow any filibusters. It's going to come to a vote in 20 hours. So you can't change what we do. You can't talk about it. You can't delay it. We're just going to run this thing through, and we're going to let the president then sign it. Okay, that's the process that she was pleased was one step closer to implementation, what a lot of people call Obama trade. I just call it flat-out treason. Because if you openly say we're going to just ignore the Constitution on the process of treaty ratification, what else are you going to ignore it on? Well, quite frankly, everything, right? Just like they do it day to day on the Bill of Rights. Now, she met with Donald Trump over the weekend, and then she comes back and she said, well, I made it very clear to him that I've got a lot more to do in the Senate. I'm focused on Iowa, blah, 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 okay? That's kind of like saying, you can't fire me, I quit. Now, hopefully, when they got together, Donald Trump realized that Joni Ernst was diametrically opposed to what he's basing his campaign on, and that is she wants to have the TPP, the trade partnership. When she talked to the Iowa farmer today, back in March of this year, they said, what are the top issues for you right now? She talked about 4 of them. One of them was the Trans-Pacific Partnership. She said, it's a trade agreement. It's being discussed. I do think we'll get a chance to vote on it. I tend to be supportive of that bill. Well, Donald Trump has said for the last 30-some-odd years he doesn't like NAFTA, he doesn't like the trade deals we're getting, and this is getting far, far worse with this. This is not even a trade deal. This is a loss of sovereignty, the management of our economy by an offshore cartel that is unaccountable to any nation state, okay? There's no democratic process involved in this. Senator Sessions, who's been the close advisor to Donald Trump, has explained this to him since last August. Joni Ernst is thoroughly in the tank for that. It's one of her top 4 priorities, she said, just back in March. Then she talked about something else that Donald Trump hasn't talked too much about, but certainly I don't like, And because she sees herself as the face of big agra, she wants to push through a GMO bill, the DARK Act, as we call it, which will basically shut down any state legislatures from saying we want to have our food labeled to know if it's got GMO in it. Exactly what you would expect from somebody coming from Iowa, which is a big corn-producing state, which is where so much of the GMO products is coming from. They don't want you to know what you're eating. They don't want this label there. They're ashamed of it. They're embarrassed by it. They want to lie to you, just as Hillary Clinton does. And so it's a good thing, I think, that there's been not a meeting of the minds. Hopefully, we're going to have the same type of thing happening with some of these other candidates. I'm very concerned to see Newt Gingrich cozying up so much to Donald Trump, because Newt Gingrich is a thorough globalist. Also in news, we see that Congress is going to summon the FBI director to explain why there's not going to be any charges brought before Clinton. Okay? And understand this. When we talked to Lionel yesterday, Leanne McAdoo and I interviewed him on the Nightly News. And he made a very good point as a former prosecutor. We said, he said no reasonable prosecutor would bring charges. Well, here's a reasonable prosecutor, Lionel, because he actually believes in the rule of law, even though he doesn't want to see Hillary Clinton go to jail, even though he is supportive of some of the liberal issues. He has criticized SCOTUS and criticized this decision. He said, look, I used to be a prosecutor. This is like a police chief holding a press conference and saying, district attorney, don't you dare indict this person. That's not the job of the police chief. He's supposed to be an investigator. Stay with us. We'll be right back with your calls. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight. Just want to remind you of the specials that we have. The 4th of July mega specials have been extended at InfoWarsStore.com. And, of course, those are 20% off Alexa Pure water filters, 20% off all Alexa Pure air filters, 20% off Survival Shield X2, which is selling out very quickly, and 20 to 40% off all InfoWars Select Storable Food. That's a massive sale. 20% off Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine, the water filters, the air filters from Alexa Pure, as well as 20 to 40% off of InfoWars Select Storable Food. You'll find that at InfoWarsStore.com. Also, we do have the new Hillary for Prison t-shirt. Now more than ever, folks. Hillary for Prison. We sold out, and we've got a new design in, an all-new version Hillary for Prison t-shirt now live at InfoWarsStore.com. I'm going to go to the callers here in just one moment. I want to finish up with what I was about to say about Hillary Clinton and FBI Director Comey. He has been told that the Congress would like to talk to him tomorrow. They'd like to have a sit-down and say, please explain to us not only the double talk, but the double think behind saying that Hillary Clinton committed all these felonies, okay? 110 emails that were classified, he admits, that were sent and received as classified. And then, of course, there were thousands more they say were classified later. And we've talked about that, how if she has a conversation with another head of state, another State Department official in another country, those are born classified. Now, she can start sending out emails about that right away before somebody in the State Department takes a look at the content and says, wait a minute, that should be secret, top secret, above top secret. And that's the prevarication that she was allowed to get away with. But at the very least, he said, look, there's 110 of these things, okay? And when I heard this, I told my wife, I said, I can't believe it. He's going to indict her. But then he lays out the criminal charges and says, never mind. But don't you try this at home because we'll send you to jail. And we talked a little bit about some of the really egregious prosecutions that have happened with this. But they said today that they want FBI Director James Comey to go before Congress tomorrow to explain his decision that he's not recommending criminal charges. And again, as Lionel pointed out yesterday, a former prosecutor, why would the investigator tell the prosecutors, the judges, what to do? And he pointed out, he says, look, he's giving political cover to Loretta Lynch. He's saying nobody in their right mind would do it, so of course Loretta Lynch won't do it. They're covering for each other, folks. It's just disgusting to see this. And one of the things that was interesting was even Paul Ryan got in on this and said that Mrs. Clinton should be barred from receiving classified information. Now, all of you who are shaking your heads in derision and poo-pooing this on the left, let me just remind you, when this happened to Deutsch, John Deutsch, okay? He was the CIA director under Bill Clinton, and this was like 20 years ago, right? So 1995 to 96. When he left in 96, they found that he had taken documents home to his residence, to his office. He had them on a computer that was not secure, and they came after him very hard. And one of the things that they did was they suspended his clearance. Washington Post reported this back in August of 1999, and he didn't have a problem with it. Deutsch said at the time, he said, while serving as director of Central Intelligence, I erred in using CIA-issued computers that were not configured for classified work to compose classified documents and memoranda. He said, while it was absolutely necessary for me to work at home and while on travel, in hindsight, it's clear that I should have insisted that I be provided the means of accomplishing this work in a manner fully consistent with security rules. This was Bill Clinton's CIA director, who he subsequently had to pardon to keep the guy from going to jail. So clearly they know this. And so it's not out of line at all for Paul Ryan and others to say Hillary Clinton should be barred from handling classified information because she's extremely careless with it. I would say grossly negligent, because that's basically the two of those things are indistinguishable from each other. Okay, that's a distinction without a difference, to say that she's grossly negligent or extremely careless. And understand that when the Inspector General was looking at Deutsch and investigating him, he said he criticized CIA officials because he said they didn't submit the reports on a timely basis. He said there's reasonable basis to believe that Deutsch's mishandling of classified information violated the standards prescribed and that it had the result of delaying a prompt and thorough investigation. Delayed? He was charged within 10 days. They didn't go in and say to his lawyers, would you please review his personal effects and tell us which ones we're going to be allowed to see and which ones we're not going to be allowed to see, as they did with Hillary Clinton. They didn't allow Deutsch, former CIA director, to have his lawyers delete in a way that can't be recovered information on his computer. No, they didn't do that. They afforded that protection, however, to Hillary Clinton. Just absolutely amazing. And real quickly, I want to play this clip, because last August I talked to Thomas Drake, and I think his case is one of the most egregious, because he was a whistleblower, one of the whistleblowers, but he was the one that they tried to put away, tried to put in jail. One of the people who came after him said to him, you're screwed, Mr. Drake. We have enough evidence to put you away for most of the rest of your natural life. And Drake said, they'd made me into an enemy of the state just by saying that I was one. Because he was a whistleblower, because he had told the American public that the NSA was spying on us without a search warrant. They were doing dragnet surveillance of the American public. He believed the Constitution, and he believed the American people should be informed when their government violates that Constitution. And he went through a lot of channels to do it properly, and Congress wasn't interested. Isn't that interesting that Congress didn't care? Okay. Information eventually got out. They came after him. And he said this. He said, my public defenders filed a motion showing just how far. And he said Bill Leonard had never seen such egregious violation of the classification standards that he used to lead. Okay. So here's a guy who's defending him, who used to set up these standards. And he said all of the charging documents that they tried to send him to jail for 35 years. All of the documents they used to charge him, to indict him, he said all of those were unclassified. But the government had pretextually determined for their own convenience that they were highly classified. Here's a couple of examples. What a success. It was a document that was the subject of the first count. There's 4 documents, I believe. It was classified as secret on the day they found it in his house. It wasn't classified as secret before. Okay? But they indicted him for that. That was a document that was not transmitted or received as a classified document. But they wanted to hang him because he was a whistleblower, just like they've come after journalists, just like Obama has come after more people combined under the 1917 Espionage Act than all the previous presidents in this 100 years. So you've got an administration that has been more aggressive about this than any other administration, yet they let Hillary Clinton go. And here's one of the other documents that he had there. This was another one that was marked unclassified, and it was a schedule of meetings about a project called Turbulence. Didn't say anything about the project itself. It was a list of meetings that they'd had, and this project was finished.